Everyone to the July 30th. If you can believe it, this month is about over with. The curriculum committee meeting. I'd like to call that up to order, and we have an agenda. So I will be looking for a motion for approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Just so for folks out there, Ms. Candace Sturdivant has an appeals meeting this morning, so it's Ms. Helms and I. So you'll be hearing Ms. Helms make a lot of motions and me make a lot of seconds. All right, we'll look at the, are there any changes, deletions to the July 14th meeting minutes? If not, I would look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the meeting minutes.
Second, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Okay, Mr. Jared, you're going to do a Union County COVID update for us, please.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. Sides and Ms. Helms, Dr. Houlihan, Dr. Breedlove, and Ms. Rowland. I was looking at the COVID dashboard for Union County this morning. Currently in Union County, there are 2,624 confirmed cases of COVID-19. Currently, there are 15 hospitalizations. Union County, unfortunately and tragically, has 39 deaths related to COVID. Of the 2,624 cases, Mr. Sides, of COVID, 1,498 of those cases are no longer being monitored. Of all the cases under 20 years of age, 20% of the cases overall, that would be 530 of the cases, were under 20 years of age. You know, there's other statistics, but under 20 years of age would be 20% or 530 of the cases. I think that is the public information that is available. That is the current information as of this morning, but as you know, it changes pretty quickly. But we pray for all those people that have been affected by this, and we're working hard to make sure as a school system, health and safety wise, we're covering things. So thank you for your time.
I'd just like to add, I had a conversation with the county yesterday and did confirm of the current hospitalizations, 0 of those hospitalizations are young adults, children under the age of 20. So as far as hospitalizations go, currently 0 are of school age. But thank you for monitoring that. Jared, I know that with your inquiries, the county added the current hospitalizations, and I think that's a critical figure for folks to know for a tracking basis.
Yeah.
All
thank
right.
you, Mr. Sides. I wanted to say thank you to Michelle Lancaster and Dennis Joyner, our health director. They've been wonderful partners through this, and we've worked hard together to get this information, but I wanted to thank them publicly for that.
Well, and thank you, because I know you are working as a team to figure this thing out, and there isn't any script to go by. So we're writing new chapters every day. So I appreciate you collaboration with them. All right.
Thank you.
We'll go to the next item, which is the virtual academy update. Would that be you, Dr. Breedlove?
Yes, sir. On our virtual academy course, we know that the survey went out and parents of students selected what they wanted for their children. And it looks like that just on a numbers basis, we have just over 7,900 students of our total population of 41 to 42,000 right now, which is about 19% of our population have chosen Plan D, which is our virtual academy. Of course, right now that data is out into the hands of our principals. They are looking at it, looking at the students, the number of students by grade level that they can pull out of that data, and then assigning teachers and working on their master schedule so that information that they can put out to families will be coming out soon. And when it comes to structuring their school.
A little feedback that I have received or observed is, and of course, all this is so new, there's been some confusion about the differences or similarities in option B or D. And there may be parents that have not signed up for D, but are automatically enrolled in B, but do not have the intention of their child attending that 1 day a week initially, of course, depending on grade level, what have you. They're either didn't understand to sign up for D, or they wanted to sign up for B thinking that they would have their classroom teacher, et cetera. So are we prepared to track the data of the students assigned to B that don't, that don't attend on their assigned day, be able to track that data, reach out if necessary to parents to confirm that's the situation? So that could create an open seat, which could enhance our ability to increase the number of in classroom days by creating additional capacity. Is that being planned or addressed, or are we going to be doing that?
I'll take that, Mr. Sides. The short answer is absolutely. It is going to be addressed and tracked. We have to, because no matter what, if you're in remote learning or the virtual academy or face-to-face, we have to take attendance 5 days a week. There's no exception. So we're going to have to track that. We have said from day one, if you sign up for Plan B and you need an alternate kind of schedule, like you're mentioning, that needs to be approved and worked out with the building principal. So if it is the intent at the beginning to sign up for B, and then actually you decide after you get into it or before you get into it that you want the 5 days of remote learning, that needs to be approved by the building principal and at least made aware so that we can track that family by family by family. But again, Plan B was always the intent to come at least 1 day a week, if not more, as we can add on. And so if that ends up happening, then we will absolutely track that attendance, and we will be reaching out to those families on a case-by-case basis to confirm.
Just to be clear for parents, I'm sorry, go ahead, Tina. Did you have a comment?
I have a question. I've heard a few comments too, like that, Mr. Sides, that parents are going to sign up for B and then possibly do remote, et cetera. My concern is some parents are going to let their kids or have picked Plan B for their kids, and then they decide, well, in the midst of it, they may or may not go back. So my question is, if they don't show up for multiple weeks and say, oh, my child wasn't feeling good, are we requiring at least 2 negative COVID tests for them in order to come back into the building? If that's their reason for not showing up on the days that they're there, or that they're scheduled to be in the classroom, that we're at least monitoring that they've been tested and they do not have it.
I'll defer that protocol piece to Mr. McGraw. I know he's been working with the health department on that. So Jared, I'll let you take lead on that answer.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Houlihan. Ms. Helms, I don't think anywhere in the guidelines you have to have 2 negative tests. We would follow the guidance that come in the Lighting the Way Forward document, where if someone is COVID positive, if someone has symptoms, or they've been around someone who is COVID positive, they should not come to school. If somebody's I'm sorry, you go ahead, ma'am.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Please continue.
There are other reasons that a student would not come to school, or an employee would not come to work. It is a long list of things, and there's some different things. If you have symptoms, there's certain amounts of time that you would have to stay out of school, a certain number of days. If you've tested COVID positive, But if you've not been COVID positive or had symptoms, we wouldn't test you to come back in the building.
Okay, I know that there are some workplaces that are now saying if you call out sick, then you have to be tested. So that's why I'm asking.
Yes, ma'am. Things do change quickly, but right now, what we will require is a temperature check before anyone enters our building. Students, staff, teachers, visitors to our building. We will also screen every person that comes into our building. So that will be done every morning before anyone comes into our building. So we're going to be very strict on that protocol and diligent about that. We're training our employees that will be doing that. But some of the other protocols that you mentioned, they've not been changed as far as schools are concerned. But if they do, we would follow those strictly. Okay.
Jared, could I
And
just,
all that
I'm sorry.
all
go
that comes from the health department.
Ms. Helms, it actually comes from the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
Okay.
We've received different documents, but we, as a school system, we're following the Lighting the Way Forward document and any guidance we get from the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. But we do collaborate closely with our local health department on any COVID-related matter.
Jared, just a suggestion, or Drew, or when working on the agenda for next week, next board meeting, could you have a section there for Jared to give a presentation specifically on some of these procedures, the safety procedures you're talking about for coming into school? And there are probably going to be a lot of questions about, well, what happens, like you mentioned, if a child tests positive, if a family member of a child is positive, or a employee tests positive. Maybe you could touch on those procedures as they're outlined by the references you mentioned, just to help people understand how we are going to react if these situations arise. I think that would be very helpful presentation for the next board meeting if we have room on the agenda.
Sure thing. I'll take lead on that, Mr. Sides, and we'll have a general kind of reopening update that I can provide, and then with a key presentation from Mr. McCraw on health and safety protocols. No problem.
Excellent. Excellent. I just want to reiterate the point, people that have not signed up for D virtual, but are in by default, if not in option B, but are not intending to send their students into the building their assigned day, or not sure yet, or going to wait and see, or just wasn't sure about the selection of B or D. It is imperative for us to find out what students will actually, on a consistent basis, be reporting on their assigned day or days. Because the guidelines under B for reopening require social distancing, among other things. And that means reduced classroom size. So potentially every seat we have to hold, because we're not sure if that student is going to show up or not, is reducing the opportunity for us to bring other students that want as much class time as possible back into the building. So having that accurate data is critical. So I wanted to reiterate that point. Okay. No other comments. We'll move on to reopening update. I don't know if that's Drew or Dr. Breedlove.
I'll start. I think we've covered a lot, to be honest with you, already. I know that I've received communication and questions about kind of where we are under Plan B and how we get to the point where more students come face to face for more days. And I think what Mr. Sides just mentioned is a really key indicator. You're going to hear this often. This is a very fluid situation. as a school system, we understand the value of face-to-face instruction. We know that there are populations of students, particularly pre-K, kindergarten, first grade, EC, and others, that we really want to make sure that if possible, we get them in for more days of face-to-face, and that will be a goal. We are working with our principals and staff to track the data, really make sure that we're understanding, to Mr. Side's points, who is showing up under Plan B, who is showing up under Plan D, and and tracking that data on a day-by-day basis. We will be doing that for the first 2 weeks of school. If we can make any changes to our Plan B model, I don't think that will happen until after Labor Day weekend. And I think we have a board meeting that week that I'll be able to give an update on kind of where things are. But you know, I do want to say we recognize the importance of adding as many days of face-to-face as we can in a health and safe environment. But right now we're moving forward with our Plan B plans. If anything changes, obviously we will let the public and the board know. But we're, you know, a little bit over 2 weeks away from the first day of school. You may have seen recently a lot of pictures on social media about the PPE that is being installed and delivered in schools. There's a lot going on right now, kind of behind the scenes to prepare. Very, very proud of our staff. I want to say a big thank you to our facilities team, to our principals, to our staff that are working 24/7, our nursing staff, to be trained, to get prepared, to equip our buildings with signage and social distance markings, to set up classrooms. It is a giant team UCPS effort, and I'm very proud of the work that's been done, and very proud of the work that's going to happen in the next 2 weeks to prepare. Union County Early College actually has their first day next Wednesday. And so teachers will report there on Monday, and looking forward to hopefully getting a chance to go there next week and say hello to a few staff members and welcome students. So giant effort right now going on, but we are moving forward as we have planned under Plan B and Plan D, and then and gearing up for the new school year.
Drew, could you specifically address from day one our specialty schools? I know this has been, I believe this has been publicized, but just to reiterate for folks, Wolf School and South Providence, their method of opening from day one, how will that?
So those two schools are very special schools with a significantly smaller population compared to the size of their building. Many of the students in both locations have the ability that they're in such a small classroom environment that in terms of number of students that they can socially distance no problem. So those two schools will actually begin face-to-face 4 days a week. Friday is going to remain a remote learning day for all, but those two schools will be two schools that, because of their circumstance and because of the size of the student population, we are able to meet the state requirements under social distancing and kind of health and safety protocols to let them go 4 days a week face-to-face if they choose.
There might be some parents out there or other folks that are asking, well, if they can go 4 days, why not 5? Can you address the reasoning behind 4 days, at least initially, versus a full week?
Yeah, we've had that question. A lot of the feedback we've gotten from teachers and staff and principals is really kind of leaned towards, you know, we need to also continue to build our capacity for remote learning. That is a major part of Plan B as a hybrid, and that is kind of the requirements of the state. That if you were in 5 days a week of face-to-face, you technically would be under Plan A, and we're not prepared for that. And so we need that 1 day for a number of reasons, K-12 across the board, to really help with planning, with professional learning committees, with teacher capacity and training, and also the delivery of remote learning in a live and on-demand setting. I know that in talking with a lot of principals, Fridays are going to be used in a lot of cases for small group live instruction, which will give our ability to work on, kind of differently in a virtual capacity in that way. So it's really, really important that under this hybrid model that we have some time for the blended environment where you have some virtual engagement happening in both those two schools and across the board in all schools.
And I would be willing to bet our custodial staff will be hard at work and will appreciate that extra day to be able to do an extra deep clean on the school facilities.
Yes, absolutely.
Could you address, as it's currently planned right now, how things will look after Labor Day?
That is going to be a to be TBD. I don't know. I think, again, going back to the conversations on the data, we got to get through the first 2 weeks of school and then assess exactly what our conditions are, what our attendance looks like. I think we'll know by the end of that second week if we're able to make any changes, and I will be presenting that after Labor Day to the board for approval. I think that any decisions we make, again, will be fluid. They will not be time bound because obviously things can change. And so we know that if we are able to make any decisions with regards to increasing face-to-face instruction, we want to do that as a district decision, not an individual school decision, if possible. So that is right now where I'm leaning towards in terms of the decision-making process.
And as we discussed previously, what's critical in that data is who actually shows up, who's fallen through the cracks, and what do we have to work with, and how is this model working? I want to stress to folks, and I'm sure I fully do not appreciate the situation because I'm not an educator, but we've thrown out the script, and we are starting. We were first notified, July 15th, that we were going to operate under Plan B. So, or 14th, I believe it was. So here we are. We're going to be starting school a month later after we were finally given directives by the governor what this would look like or what you can and cannot do. And our staff is quickly trying to make sure we have a safe environment as well as educate our students. And it's a Herculean task. I mean, just from my seat, I can begin to see what the challenges are, let alone if I'm actually trying to do it. I can only imagine what it's like. So I want to compliment staff because I know a lot of other districts our size are not prepared to even undertake this challenge and have students in the building at all, and have decided to go all remote. And I want to commend staff, and I'll speak for myself, that I feel the importance is to protect staff and students, but also get as much in the building face-to-face instruction as possible. My personal thing is these kids haven't been in a school building with their peers and teachers since March 13th? And you've got rising first graders that have lost half their kindergarten year. Now, at least, unless we can cope with this, they're started their first grade, two critical starting points in their education career are going to be some kind of hybrid of remote. So it's a big challenge, and we're just going to have to adjust on the fly as best. Any other comments from anyone else? All right, we'll move on to the next item. Items for action, sole source purchase. We have several. If you want to, I assume that's Dr. Breedlove. You want to get going with music
yes.
first? Take us
yes,
down.
sir. Maybe be just to handle all of these at once. These are all either sole source purchases or first-time purchases that we have. We have a few items here for our music teachers and our theater teachers across the system, and helping them with a more remote or virtual environment. That's what these programs offer. As well as we have a program called Studica for green energy. That's a green energy kits. Talk about wind power, solar, and that students can use on the days that they are coming into school to build hands-on products. And of course, Educator's Handbook is what we use to track discipline in our schools throughout our system. We've had that for several years. And then iStation, which is our math screener for this particular product that we are required to have. So those are the 6 items that we are bringing for we would like to take in front of the board and begin purchasing. Any questions?
Are these all programs that we currently use? It's just a renewal?
Most are Music First, Music Play, and the Drama Teacher Academy. Those are new programs to help support the remote environment that we're in those teachers.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to do music remote. I'm sure you're going to need lots of tools. What grade levels do those apply to?
Music First is 6 to 12. Music Play is a K-5, and then the Drama Teacher Academy is 6-12.
Okay. Great. Ms. Helms, any
Motion to
questions?
approve.
Okay. I will second. All in favor of recommending approval by the full board, say aye.
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 Okay. So all those sole source items will be taken to the full board. Our next meeting date, which I have a feeling will be required, or an emergency meeting before that due to circumstances changes. But our next scheduled meeting is August 27th. Is there any more business to come before the committee? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.